This is full version with very detailed explanation. There is also another clip, a short summary with frozen frames, arrows, circles, steps, just a drill to follow. No lengthy explanations and comparisons. The link in the description. Classical parallel turn is the soul of skiing. Invented way before the shaped ski and before carving. Somehow it was moved into the shadows now. Yet it is a gateway to powder skiing, freeride, moguls, backcountry, broken powder, crud. In my humble opinion, it represents not only the technical foundation of skiing, but presents the spirit and elegance, smooth flowing movement, total control, roosters behind the tails. I am an old amateur, I am skiing for 50 plus years and I just like to share some ideas. I will be talking about three key fundamentals of this turn, and right away I must say I'll be focusing on classical side slide, or drifting, or smearing, or skidding, or rotational skiing, call it the way you want. Parallel ski turn is not about carving. Carving certainly is a wonderful tool for competition and racing. I personally loved carving for many years. The problem with carving is that it implies a lot of speed. And at 70 years old, I don't want to risk these high speeds, and rotational skiing and smearing on snow is what I am after now. I do, however, love groomed runs as well, and in fact most of the footage you will see is filmed on the groomers. I just think that groomed runs are perfect for mastering any technique, and the classical parallel turn is not an exception. The first key element is, before going into the turn, please ensure your old inside ski is weighted. Note my wording. I am not saying all the way or most of the way or 50-50. All I say is the old inside ski has to be loaded. If you're used to loading your outside ski 100% throughout the turn, then yes, you have to change the load, and you have to load your old inside ski completely in the very end of the turn, just before you start everything else. In the nick of a time, it will be a new outside ski, and as you used to load outside ski completely, so why not to do it right away? In another extreme, if you're skiing loading both feet evenly, well, good for you. Nothing needs to be done, no adjustment whatsoever is required. Now, why it is so important to start with loading old inside ski first? The answer is very simple. If it is loaded, you cannot lift it. And if you cannot lift it, you can't do any plow or any stem or any Christiania motion. Hence, it ensures the parallel ski position. Think about this as a defensive driving. And recall, we're talking about the classical parallel turn. And think about it, your old inside ski will be a new outside ski in a nick of a time. To discuss the second key element in our fundamentals, I created a little model of a ski slope. So imagine this is a ski hill, and this is a fall line, and you're making turns here. And so in the end of the turn, this is your ski, and the ski is in H position, and ski wants to make a rotational turn, but it's impossible for the H ski to make a rotational turn, because if we're going this way, the tail of the ski will be hitting on the slope, and the ski will not rotate. The aged ski, and right now it's aged on your little toe, because it's upper edge from your previous turn, upper edge from your inside ski, and it's aged. And so ask yourself a question: what do you want to do to allow it to make a rotational turn? And the answer is very simple: you have to remove the edge. you have to stop edging, or in other words, you have to make the ski flat. If you make the ski flat, it will rotate nicely. And all you need at this point is to initiate this turn, initiate this rotation. So this is the answer to your problem. Stop edging, make the ski flat. Now, how you can make the ski flat? There are different ways you can think about it. You can think about rolling your ski from little toe to the big toe. Roll it like this. The ski becomes flat, and if the ski becomes flat, it starts to rotate and you begin your turn. Or think about if this is a tip of your ski that you're tipping it. You're tipping the tip of the ski. It's the same. It's a synonym. The ski becomes flat, and if the ski becomes flat, it starts to rotate. Or imagine that this is a tibia, your bone that goes from your knee to your ankle. You can make the tibia perpendicular to the slope. If you make the tibia perpendicular to the slope, the ski naturally becomes flat because the boot is very stiff, as you know. So you can think about making the tibia perpendicular to the snow. Or if it's too difficult for you to think about it, think about sending the knee towards the fall line. So notice that it is all lateral movement. Lateral movement here because ski goes this way, and all you do is you do in lateral direction, you sending it this way. But why stop with the only your tibia? If this is an axis of your body, make the whole body perpendicular. So send your body, send your center of gravity towards the fall line. The ski becomes flat. The ski becomes flat and it starts to turn. And this is probably the most sophisticated way of thinking about it, but most effective too. And it's a little bit scary because you're sending your center of your gravity into the abyss. You're sending it down the fall line where it's not supported by the ski. And you have to trust that the ski will start rotating and turning, and it will. And that's the term in the old times, it was called anticipation. You send your center of gravity down, and you anticipate that the ski will understand this as the beginning of the turn, and it will start to rotate. Or you can think about crossover. You're crossing your body from this position over the ski, from this position towards this position. You're crossing your body, it's called crossover. One way or another, this is what it is. In other sports, it is called a projection. You project your center of gravity into the turn in all types of surfing, kite surfing, windsurfing, skateboarding. You send the center of mass into nowhere, where there is no support, and the turn, the rotation, magically happens on its own. And now we are coming to the third and the last fundamental skill that is called unweighting. So flat ski rotates nicely, but if there is no or little pressure on the snow, it rotates even easier. In extreme case, if the ski is completely in the air for the nick of a time, like in a micro jump, it will be extremely easy to initiate the rotation. So this fundamental involves a vertical movement. The second skill, making the ski flat, was a sideways move, and this unweighting one is a vertical move. Two one-dimensional moves applied simultaneously is all you need. So how to unweight your ski? There are two approaches, very different and at the same time so similar, and I will be talking about those now. The first is called up unweighting or unweighting up, and the second is down unweighting or unweighting down. Both approaches require compression and expansion. Compression first and the expansion that follows. That is where the similarity originates, and at the high tempo of execution it is very easy to confuse one and another. The real difference is that when up unweighting is applied, the maximum unweighting is achieved in the apex of extension, and it is where the turn is initiated. With down unweighting, the unweighting is achieved in the moment of maximum compression, and this is the moment when the turn is initiated. The extension that follows just for the purpose of extension in itself, so to straighten the leg, so to be able to do the following turn, compression, and this is done when the turn had already started. In the nutshell, consider the sit-ups on the floor. Start from the compressed position and begin to expand up. In the apex of extension, the pressure on the floor is reduced. You can even jump and for the nick of a time be completely weightless. Pretty straightforward, and this is the basis of unweighting up or up unweighting. Now start from extended position and begin to compress. In the end, abruptly and as fast as you can, pull the heels towards your butt. Look at the arrow up from the heel on the rightmost pictogram. In the apex of your compression, the weight or pressure on the on the floor will be reduced. Not likely completely reduced, one has to be really athletic for this, but significantly reduced. This is the principle of unweighting down or down unweighting. Let's talk about up unweighting first. It is way easier and everyone learns it first. Essentially, it is a jump up. As soon as you initiated your previous parallel turn, and this happens in the apex of your extension, you begin to compress. During this previous turn, you continuously bend your ankles, pressing with your shins on the boot tongue. As the turn progresses, you compress more and more, bending your ankles. You will be compressed to the max. And I exaggerate here on purpose. You don't really need to be totally compressed. Good skiers do a subtle move that you barely can see. But for the purpose of training and learning and explaining, I exaggerate on purpose. You finish your turn completely. Your skis are across the heel, perpendicular to the fall line. This is the moment you are compressed to the max, whatever your personal max limit in this particular turn is. This is a moment for a new turn. All three skills have to be applied. Don't forget the skill number 1. Old inside ski is loaded. The second skill now to be executed, making your ski flat. And now simultaneously with this second skill, if you expand up perpendicular to the slope, and when you do so, press on your skis and push up from the ground, and so in the beginning of these expansions, the skis are pressed down into the snow, no unweighting. In fact, more weight is applied to the skis. Then, in the apex of your expansion, the pressure on the snow will be reduced. If you really jump up, the pressure on the ski will disappear. Of course, the jump is extreme, and full expansion may be not necessary, but for the purpose of better understanding, I again exaggerate. So, if your timing is right, both things will happen at once. The flat skis, the center of gravity, moving laterally down the fall line and simultaneously moving up perpendicular to the slope, and the flat unweighted ski will happily initiate the turn. And from this extended position, as the turn progresses, you will start compressing, bending your ankles and side-sliding your skis, and as you complete this turn and arrive to the end of the turn, your ski will be across the heel, you will be compressed to the max, and you will repeat. Now let's talk about down unweighting. It is more technical, but this has many advantages. So you start from this fully compressed position with a crossover. The turn is initiated when you're completely compressed. You then extend your legs and you extend them sideways, pushing tails out. And then you begin compressing. This compression is pretty much like in the case of up unweighting that we just discussed. Bending ankles, dominating the boot, pressing with your shins on boot tongues, lowering the center of gravity, very similar. The only difference is that you do not compress to the absolute max that you can. You still leave some room, a little bit, but you leave the room for additional compression. You are across the slope now, you finished previous turn, you compressed, but not to the max. You now have to execute the first element, loading old inside, ski little toe edge. Now you are about to make your ski flat by sending your center of mass down the fall line in the abyss, as we discussed, the second skill. Now together with this move, compress even more and as fast as you can. From fairly compressed position to real maximum compression, as fast as you can. Like a last push, last jerk, last effort. You can think about this in two different ways. First one, think about pulling your heels towards your butt as fast as you can. Alternatively, think about bending your ankles even more, again as fast as you can and even faster. Or do both. It will result in the same motion, and the end result will be the same. The ski will be flat and weight will be reduced. The skis will be lifted up and kind of hanging in the air. Not entirely, of course. And it will start its rotation, and the new turn will be initiated. And from this completely compressed position, you will start to expand, slowly but surely, pushing your tails out, lifting roosters of snow. The difference is that unlike the up unweighting, you expand to the side. In up unweighting, as you remember, you were expanding up. Here, on the contrary, you had already initiated the turn, and you just extend your legs sideways, brushing against the snow with a lot of side slide. And as your turn will progress, you will start compressing again and will complete the turn, coming to the new position, with skis across the fall line, you being compressed but not to the max, and ready to repeat. Let's review up unweighting one more time in this super slow 32 times slowdown. Here we are at the end of the previous turn to begin the transition into the next one. This is complete compression. The previous inside ski is loaded and is on little toe edge. The first key element is applied. Next to do, make ski flat by rolling feet from edge to edge, or projection, or crossover, or anticipation. This is the second key element to apply. Simultaneously expanding vertically in order to execute unweighting up, red arrows. This is the third key element to apply. When we extend, there is actually more pressure on the ski, up to the apex of extension, then the pressure is disappeared. Here we are at the apex of extension. This is moment of turn initiation. The weight is minimum at the apex of extension. At the same point, the skis are flat and body is perpendicular to the slope. Notice that the new inside ski is still unloaded, green arrow. Let's review down unweighting one more time in the super slow 32 times slowdown. Here we are at the end of the previous turn to begin the transition into the next one. This is almost complete compression. More compression has to be executed shortly. The previous inside ski is loaded and is on little toe edge. The first key element is applied. Next to do, make ski flat by rolling feet from edge to edge or projection or crossover or anticipation. This is the second key element to apply. Simultaneously, you will be executing unweighting down. This is the third key element to apply. From fairly compressed position to real maximum compression as fast as you can, like a last push, last jerk, last effort. Think about pulling your heels toward your butt as fast as you can. Red arrow. This is moment of turn initiation. This now complete compression, maximum unweighting, minimum pressure on the snow, kinda hanging above the slope for a nick of a time. Notice that you had initiation the turn from this fully compressed position. No need to wait for full expansion like an up unweighting. Hence, it is much faster. At the same point, the skis are flat and body is perpendicular to the slope. From this completely compressed position, you will start to expand, pushing your tails out. Here you already couple ski lengths into your turn, fully extended. Look on the tracks. The smearing red circle had started way behind this frozen frame. That was the turn initiation point. Also, lots of side sliding, red arrow. The tails were pushed out, blue arrow, because expansion was not directed up, but to the side, brushing tails sideways over the snow. The skis are now on the new edge. Both feet are loaded. Couple more down unweighting turns in 4 times slow down from the different angle. Here we are at the end of the previous turn to begin the transition into the next one. This is almost complete compression. More compression has to be executed shortly. The previous inside ski is loaded and is on little toe edge. The first key element is applied. Next to do, make ski flat by rolling feet from edge to edge or projection or crossover or anticipation. This is the second key element to apply. Simultaneously, you will be executing unweighting down. This is the third key element to apply. From fairly compressed position to real maximum compression as fast as you can, like a last push, last jerk, last effort. Think about pulling your heels towards your butt as fast as you can. Red arrow. This is the moment of turn initiation. This is now complete compression, maximum unweighting, minimum pressure on the snow, kinda hanging from above the slope for a nick of a time. Notice that you had initiated the turn from this fully compressed position. No need to wait for full expansion like in up unweighting, hence it's much faster. At the same point, the skis are flat and body is perpendicular to the slope. Notice that the new inside ski is still unloaded, green arrow. From this completely compressed position, you will start to expand, pushing your tails out. Here you are already into your turn. Fully extended. The tails were pushed out, red arrow because expansion was not directed up, but to the side, brushing tails sideways over the snow. The skis are now on the new edge. Both feet are loaded. Here we are at the end of the previous turn to begin the transition into the next one. This is almost complete compression. More compression has to be executed shortly. The previous inside ski is loaded and is on little toe edge. The first key element is applied. Next to do, make ski flat by rolling feet from edge to edge or projection or crossover or anticipation. This is the second key element to apply. On this frame, from this angle, the red horizontal arrow from the center of gravity indicates projection, anticipation, crossover. Use your turn for this move that facilitates second key element, making skis flat. Simultaneously, you will be executing unweighting down. This is the third key element to apply. From fairly compressed position to real maximum compression as fast as you can, like a last push, last jerk, last effort. Think about pulling your heels towards your butt as fast as you can. Red arrow. This is the moment of turn initiation. This is now complete compression, maximum unweighting, minimum pressure on the snow, kinda hanging from above the slope for a nick of a time. Notice that you had initiated the turn from this fully compressed position. No need to wait for full expansion like in up unweighting, hence it's much faster. At the same point the skis are flat and body is perpendicular to the slope. From this completely compressed position you will start to expand, pushing your tails out. Here you are already into your turn. Fully extended. The skis are now on the new edge. Both feet are loaded. The tails were pushed out. Red arrow because expansion was not directed up, but to the side, brushing tails sideways over the snow. So both up and down unweighting achieve the same goal. The pressure on the snow is reduced. The flat ski initiates real easy in both cases. So what is the difference between the two? In one you come to the end of previous turn fully compressed and abruptly expand. In another you come compressed too, but not to the max, and then you abruptly compress to the max. The down unweighting is more technical and a bit counterintuitive, but it is way faster to execute and consumes less skier energy. Indeed, to expand up, you have to move all your mass up, the lower body, the lower body, the upper body. And in the down unweighting, you lift up only your lower body. So less mass movement is involved, the less effort is required, and it's way faster. It is especially important for short turns, whether it is bumps, powder, or just short turns along the fall line on the groomer. But when you unweight up, you can unweight fully, like jumping. But when you unweight down, it is really difficult to pull your skis towards your butt that fast so they lose connection with the snow completely. So it's a partial unweighting. Hope those ideas that I shared were helpful to you. Keep in mind, I am not a professional, not a coach, I'm just old amateur geezer that still loves skiing, and those are my 2 cents. Feel free to ask any question, but please be respectful.